Sexual reproduction. Without it, the human race would cease to exist. And it comes with a lot of changes between puberty and adolescence, and we'll talk about those today. Hi, this lesson is on introduction to human reproduction, as well as the structure and function of the male reproductive system. So reproduction is necessary to ensure the survival of any species, whether it's sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. Now, sexual reproduction produces offspring with a new and unique characteristic grouping that may increase our chance of survival from the parent generation. And William Harvey was the first person to investigate sexual reproduction in animals and compare it to human sexual reproduction. In human reproduction, there are two types of gametes or sex cells. In males, there are sperm, and about 1 billion sperm are produced every day from the ages of 13 to 90, so an incredible amount. Females, however, are born with about 400,000 eggs, and about 400 of them mature between the ages of 12 and 50, or whenever menopause affects a woman. For the average gestational period for a human is about 266 days, or roughly 40 weeks. So looking at the male reproductive system, the male reproductive structures are responsible for producing and maturing sperm, storing sperm, and then delivering sperm into the female reproductive system. So in this cross-section of the male reproductive system, we can see that there is the penis with the urethra inside of it. There is the testes contained in the scrotum. They're surrounded by the epididymis. You follow that epididymis up, you have the vas deferens, which goes past the seminal vesicle, the prostate, and Cowper's gland. So the scrotum's job is to hold the testes away from the body to keep them cool, or even hold them close to the body to keep them warm if you were, like, say, swimming in cold water. Sperm production occurs optimally at a temperature about 3 degrees below the regular temperature of the human body. And so that's why the testes are actually outside of the abdominal cavity. Typically, the testes will descend about 2 months before birth. Occasionally, there's an error in this process, and a little boy will have to have his testes surgically descended into the scrotum. And they will hang outside the body to maintain a temperature of about 35 degrees to give the sperm a max survivable ability. Now, there's 2 different types of cells in the testes. They have interstitial cells, which are testosterone-producing cells, and seminiferous tubules, which carry out spermatogenesis, or the production of sperm. And the interstitial cells are all between all the seminiferous tubules. So once sperm is produced in the testes, it is transferred over to the epididymis, which will hold sperm for roughly 2 to 4 days while those sperm mature. The vas deferens conducts sperm from the epididymis out of the urethra during the process of ejaculation. And if a man has a vasectomy, the vas deferens is cut and tied off to prevent the conduction of sperm. So they cut the vas deferens very near the testes so that no sperm can be carried out during an ejaculation. The ejaculatory duct propels semen and sperm through the urethra during an ejaculation, and the urethra actually allows for the passage of both urine and semen, but not at the same time. So there's a sphincter that closes off the bladder, preventing urine from exiting the urethra during ejaculation. The penis is the male organ for copulation. Beneath the skin, there is the urethra surrounded by spongy protective tissue that will expand with increased blood flow to form the glans penis. And so then during an erection, this spongy tissue fills with blood to make it hard so that it can effectively enter the vaginal canal. The prepuce, or the foreskin, is a loose sheath of skin that covers the glands of the penis in uncircumcised males, and it produces an oily secretion known as smegma that will help lubricate the head of the penis under that skin. Circumcision would be the removal of the foreskin. So sperm is mixed with a bunch of different fluids to be known as semen altogether, and that seminal fluid is produced by 3 different glands, and that seminal fluid is important to help the sperm do its job. So one of the things that's added to the semen is from the seminal vesicles, and it is a high fluid high in fructose and sucrose. So the seminal vesicles provide, I always kind of remember it as sucrose, but energy for the sperm that they need to swim. The seminal vesicles will also release a little bit of prostaglandins, which will cause contractions of the female reproductive tract in the vagina and at the cervix to help move that sperm upwards and inwards into the female reproductive system. So again, the seminal vesicles are going to provide energy for the sperm to swim along through the female reproductive system. Two other components of the seminal fluid come from the prostate gland, which provides a milky white alkaline fluid that helps neutralize the acidity of the vagina, so a basic solution to neutralize the acidity, and from Cowper's gland. And now this is going to be a buffered fluid that is going to cleanse and neutralize the acidity in the urethra of the male penis. So Cowper's gland protects the semen from the male urethra, while prostate gland produces a basic fluid to protect the semen, the sperm from the acidity of the vagina. So now spermatogenesis, the production of sperm. So sperm are the smallest cells in the human body, and they have very little cytoplasm, which is why they need that energy from the seminal vesicles in the semen to help propel them along. They have a head and a large tail or flagellum. The sperm head is going to be what contains the DNA, and the body contains the mitochondria to move the tail. At the very tip of the head is also an acrosome, which contains enzymes to help the sperm break down and penetrate the egg. So when we're looking at the steps of spermatogenesis, spermatogonia are undifferentiated germ cells that have 46 chromosomes. They're diploid, so they have 2 copies of every chromosome. Then they're going to undergo meiosis, and they're going to turn into primary spermatocytes, and now they only have 1 copy of each chromosome because we need the sperm to have 1 copy of each chromosome and the egg to have 1 copy of each chromosome. So when it makes a zygote, it is now going to have 1 copy from the man and 1 copy from the woman. Now there's secondary spermatocytes that undergo meiosis 2, which is going to be dividing these from the original spermatogonia into 4 individual sperm cells. And then they're going to become spermatids with 23 chromosomes that are ready to mature in the epididymis. So spermatids are immature sperm cells, spermatozoa are mature sperm cells, and spermatogonia are the undifferentiated stem cells that are going to become sperm in the testes. So in the testes, we can take a cross-section, and then we can look at the seminiferous tubule where sperm production occurs. And we see all these spermatogonia that are going to then become spermatozoa or sperm cells that are mature. And there are Sertoli cells in the testes in between all these seminiferous tubules, to help nourish those spermatogonia. So when we're looking at sexual reproduction, an erection and ejaculation is an important part of the process. So during an erection, the parasympathetic nerve dilates the arteries of the penis, allowing blood to flow rapidly into the penis, while the veins are compressed, preventing blood from leaving the penis. So now it becomes hard and firm, and that allows it to more easily enter the vaginal canal. Ejaculation occurs when sexual stimulation forces semen into the urethra, where some rhythmic muscle contractions will cause the semen to be expelled from the end of the penis. Now, men can be infertile for a variety of different reasons, but they all relate to the inability of a man to produce viable sperm. And this can have occurred from trauma, from chemicals, or possibly for age. Impotency is the inability to achieve a sustained erection, which can cause infertility due to the inability to get sperm out of the male body. And a treatment for this would be the drugs of Viagra or Cialis, which were originally developed. Viagra was originally developed for a blood pressure medication, but then they found out a side effect was sustained erections. So it became one of the most popular selling pharmaceutical drugs. So when we're looking at the male reproductive system, it is controlled by a variety of hormones. One of them is gonadotropic releasing hormone, which is released from the hypothalamus. And it stimulates the anterior pituitary to release luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. So gonadotropic releasing hormone stimulates the pituitary. And again, all those releasing hormones go from the hypothalamus to the pituitary. So luteinizing hormone stimulates the interstitial cells, which are between the seminiferous tubules, to produce testosterone. So luteinizing hormone stimulates the testes to produce testosterone. Testosterone is going to be responsible for most of the male's secondary sex characteristics, whether it's pubic hair, armpit hair, a wider jaw, lower voice, increase in muscle mass, as well as broader shoulders, and is required for sperm production. The other hormone that is released by the anterior pituitary is follicle-stimulating hormone, which is going to stimulate the production of sperm in the seminiferous tubules. Now, when the level of the sperm count is high and the level of testosterone is high, the Sertoli cells produce inhibin, which sends feedback up to the pituitary and hypothalamus to inhibit the release of follicle-stimulating hormone. So no more sperm are produced, and gonadotropic hormone is not being released from the hypothalamus anymore. So here we can see that negative feedback loop where the hypothalamus releases gonadotropic releasing hormone, which stimulates the pituitary to release follicle-stimulating hormone, which stimulates the Sertoli cells to develop sperm through spermatogenesis, and luteinizing hormone, which stimulates the interstitial cells to produce testosterone. Now, once there's a lot of testosterone in the body and or a lot of mature sperm, the mature sperm will stimulate the production of inhibin, which will slow down the anterior pituitary from releasing follicle-stimulating hormone, and high levels of testosterone in the male body will provide negative feedback to the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary to, again, stop the release of follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Thanks for joining us today. I'll catch you next time. Bye.